of course, they did that. Series of the business.
My name is Kathy Alexander, and I'm the director of the Winchester Chamber of Commerce. We are pleased to host a candidates breakfast this morning for the opportunity for the business community to meet and greet the candidates.
Mr. Doug Marmon here, representing the candidacy for the Board of Selectmen, in addition to our other members who have come to hear and to listen. And we're really disappointed that the other two candidates, for some reason, could not make it. So, Doug, why don't we give you the floor?
I've been in town for 35 years, been on town meeting for 30. I spent 9 years on the Finance Committee. I am currently the chairman of the Capital Planning Committee. They're the people who spend the capital money, trucks and technology and buildings. A challenging time. Our stabilization funds which have supported much of the capital improvements now are pretty much depleted. The debt service that we have for past projects now is eating up most of the funds. But I think we have enough to keep us afloat until some of those bonds get paid off. I don't expect we're going to get an override for capital in addition to the override for the general operating. And this year's capital plan included two far-reaching school building projects. The Vincent Owen School, which was its own project, its own debt exclusion override, and a feasibility study at the high school. We have to figure out what we're going to do. There's a bulge of students headed for the high school, and we have to have a plan for what to do. There are lots of ideas out there of, do we need to build a wing, or can we renovate in place? And heaven only knows what we do with the kids while we're making those changes. So a lot of questions that have to be answered. And the high school's big, it's certain to be expensive, so we also have to come together in some agreement on what we can afford and get an override for that. Now let me tell you a few of the things that, a few of my positions. The first one is, I think we do need this override that's coming up, this proposed operating override. Without it, we are going to cut some things that we don't want to cut. And the override's not going to go away. If it doesn't pass this year, it's going to come back next year, it's going to be bigger, and it's going to be more urgent. So we might as well face up to it. Second, I was disappointed in the wage contracts that were signed last fall. The wage and benefit package is rising too rapidly and is the major driver for this override that we're having to have. We made no changes in the work rules. We've got to make some changes to work rules if we're going to be run as an efficient town. We have a set of rules that no business would tolerate. And third, I think it was too long. It bought us stability when what I think we need is flexibility in these uncertain times. And my third point is, I think we got to have a new town manager, and we got to have it promptly. I have no complaint with Ms. Lannon or Mr. Toogood. They've done a fine job. But an acting manager and an acting town manager and a town manager they have different authority. The titles are not the same. I think we need a citizen committee to get to work immediately to start that search under some guidelines set by the selectmen, but the search should be open to all. I think this is something we want to do. I think we've waited too long. And of course, I think I am experienced. I think I have commitment to the town. I think I've got some new ideas to bring to the selectmen's table, and I hope I can count on your vote a week from today. Thank you. All right.
One of the big issues of the chamber is tax classification. What's your position on that?
I see, it doesn't seem to me that the businesses in town are so robust that they can afforded a higher tax rate. I think that the board in the past has done the reasonable thing about keeping the classifications equal. We need business in town.
Doug, what work rules need changing?
Well, it's set up now so we cannot reward our best workers. And we cannot it's very difficult to remove the worst workers. I think we have to have some more management control.
How would you do that?
Well, it's through collective bargaining. Can I do it? I don't know. But I think it's something that desperately needs to be done. And I'm not naive enough to think that this is going to happen overnight. But we have to start the conversation. We have to keep pushing until we do make some progress. And I don't think that the last round of negotiations made it a priority.
Not sure if you've seen the parking study and some of the discussion that's going on with parking, but any opinion on downtown
Well,
parking?
I did attend the meeting that you had 3 or 4 weeks ago now. I think parking in town is a problem. We have to figure out some solutions. I think that the study came up with a bunch of good ideas. Parking meters have their own problems. So I think the conversation is good. I think that your subcommittee has come up with some good ideas. We don't want to make the solution worse than the problem.
Aside from the parking issue, put that aside, what do you see as the major factor or influence on improving downtown business? What would you see as a driving force to that?
Well, I guess I'm really here to ask you that question. I can't say that I know. I mean, I want the downtown to be vibrant. I think we've taken some steps in that direction. The planning board's come up with a whole bunch of conversations. These are good ideas. I don't know which ones of them we can implement, which ones make sense. But I'll be honest, I don't have a plan for the downtown. Give me some ideas.
I'd like to take advantage of the fact that we have some of the other selectmen here, and actually, I'm voicing some questions that Chris Mulhern asked me to put forth. And one, does anybody in this room have any idea on the timetable for Wedgmere Station and the negotiations that are going on in terms of us taking over jurisdiction?
Of Wedgmere, not the center
Wedgmere.
station.
Wedgmere.
I can talk to that. There are really two, I'll use the pun, there are two parallel tracks here that we're on. One is that with Senator Kennedy's help, Gene Batty, who's head of the Disabilities Access Commission, Wedgmere Station is the first station in the country that the Federal Department of Transportation is allowing to have what's called mini-highs. This is to have equal access, so you don't have to climb up on the train. The Federal Transportation's position has been, you can't put those in, you have to raise the entire platform or you do nothing at all. So that was a waiver we got, and this is without any town money. So that's a good thing. Bad thing is you can't get up to the platform. So we've gone back to the T, and the T's was very excited about this because there are stations, Auburndale, all these different stations that don't comply, and they'd like to get them to comply. So the T, in their wisdom, went and designed these new ramps to replace the ramps, some grades, we all know them, that are there. And they got to 100% design completion and discovered that the ramps were on DCR land, not Town of Winchester MBTA property. So they quickly scrambling because the mini-highs are being paid for with stimulus ARA money, and it has to be expended by this fall. And so they've come back to the town, and we own up and I'll get to the second part in terms of the parking, we own 17 spaces in that lot. The rest of that lot is DCR land. But the town owns the land along Bacon Street. So the T is quickly redesigned their ramps to put ramps on either side next to Bacon Street on Town of Winchester land. We've entered into a temporary agreement with them, but this has to be brought to town meeting this spring. So there'll be a special town meeting within the town meeting scheduled for, I think, May 5th, to do a 99-year lease to the T for these new ramps. And that will allow people to get up and build the mini highs. That's one item at Wedgemere. The other is the parking. And we've scheduled a meeting with DCR. This ties back to the parking study. And we agree with the chamber. There are a bunch of moving pieces here. We want to have smart growth. We want people to use the T. We want them to drive less, but we don't want them to all bring their cars to Winchester Center, and then that has a negative impact on turnover. So how do we square this circle? One of it is to make Wedgemere more accessible to Winchester commuters. Right now, we're the low-cost producer. Instead of parking at Anderson or Wellington and paying, you can get off at Roosevelt Circle, drop your car in Wedgemere, ride into town, do the reverse commute at the end of the day. That's of no benefit to Winchester, and that lot is filled first thing in the morning. So people are coming then to downtown. So we want to have a conversation with DCR wherein we say, we're plowing it, we're taking care of it. Let Winchester have the revenue, let Winchester set up a resident sticker program or share revenue or whatever. So we're beginning that. So those are the two things going on with Winchester.
Roger, why can't we negotiate with them to take control of the land? Not just provide the services, but why can't we take it away from them in some fashion?
Well, it would have to be an act of the legislature to do that. And the state is relatively reticent to give up, quote, parkland, notwithstanding the fact it's a parking lot. So we'll certainly raise it. When the stations were built, the town of Winchester accepted the responsibility to maintain. And so it's their land, but we're responsible for everything else.
Anybody else?
Well, maybe we can hear from Mary, if you want to just
Yes.
make a comment, introduce yourself, and talk a little bit about the plans. And if you could just reference two tangents, then Roger, you talked about the train station, update people about the general renovation of the downtown train station. And then Doug talked about, or the question, Jim, about sort of the vision for downtown. Maybe you could just outline what the planning board's been doing.
We've had a series of conversations to study the downtown. We have a subcommittee, which includes the Board of Selectmen, working on the Town Center Initiative is what we call it. And there's several parts to that. There's the actual physical business part of the downtown, which would bring more housing and more retail to the town center to activate and enliven the town center, bring people to, spend money. A study was put forth by Behringer that identified, I think, Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was $2.6 million were going out of the town every year to other communities being spent and not being spent in Winchester. These are people living in town who are taking their dollars to Lexington and Arlington because the opportunities aren't here in town. So the question with the planning board and the Board of Selectmen is, how do we change that? So we started looking at some concept, I'll call them designs, but they're really just big ideas of where housing might go in the town, how it will relate to the new train station, because at the same time, we joke and call it the perfect storm, the train station became so badly damaged that we needed to repair it, and Representative Lewis stepped in to help us get that ball rolling. And as a result, we're going to get a new train station, which will be somewhere around $15 million. As part of that opportunity in looking at the ramps, we realized there was a real lack of continuity between one side of the town and the other, which was separated by what we call the Great Wall, the Wall of China, which everyone knows is the viaduct. And we asked, can we connect the downtown business area back to the common so that we have a very lively area? So right now, with the help of the MBTA, we're looking at bringing an opening in the downtown viaduct wall to connect Thompson Street to the Common. So all of these pockets are moving together and hopefully will, join hands to really make it a vibrant place. The last part of this is we applied for a grant through the Mass Smart Growth Alliance, which is a collaboration of professionals in all aspects of the design world, from environmental to housing to transportation. And we were one of 5 out of, I think, 33 communities that applied. Winchester was selected. And right now we're working with the Board of Selectmen and working with all the other groups in town to make another working group to manage that grant, which is for services in kind. And it's for the amount, could be for the amount of $200,000. It's a very important piece. And I think, like you spoke about that on Sunday. I don't know if you want to say any more about that.
It's great that we have this Smart Growth Alliance. But it's mostly efforts that go to the things the planning board has been pushing so that you can get it done. You're not going to get much money with the way the budget's put together, so getting this is a real opportunity to keep these plans moving.
You didn't answer the question, Mary. Why do you want to keep doing this?
Well, I live in the downtown, and I also am very interested in urban planning and having a walkable, livable community. And I know the budget restraints in the town, and I thought I could just pick up my pencil and jump in and help out. It's very exciting to do that.
Do we have any more questions for our candidates?
Can I just ask, what is the timeline for hiring a new town manager?
Infinite.
It's not been established.
I don't. I think after the election and after town meeting is probably the realistic time. Part of the delay has been budgetary. And I'm happy that it preceded me, but there was not a good contract with the prior town manager. There was a mutual decision to go our separate ways, but that in an employment situation where the contract ended, to then have severance pay on top of it, it was really wasn't particularly good fiscal management, in my opinion. But it was a contract, and we were obligated, so we met our obligation, but we had to cut a large check. And we didn't have those funds in our budget, which is tight. And so Mark and Mary Ellen, quite honestly, have helped us bridge financially. That is part of the argument. When we looked at hiring professional assistants to do a search, we were looking at $50,000 and $60,000 fees for professional assistants on top of a severance payment. And so the dollars really guided some of the early thinking. I agree with Mr. Marmon. First of all, I've been pleased with the way the team has performed, and there have been issues that have been knocked down and resolved that were lingering. I have a difference of opinion on the labor with Mr. Marmon, but that he'll be at the table, or somebody else will be at the table, and that'll be joined again. But we've had 2 recent dismissals for performance within the town, and that was from the town manager's office. So I've been pleased with tackling things, but you do need, I think Mr. Marmon's right, you do need somebody who has the title, has the authority. That's the person at the apex of the organization chart. We need to get on with that. But there have been other reasons, and there's always something, whether it's a fall town meeting or a spring town meeting or an override vote for DO or whatever. It's like, you know what, let's deal with this, and then we'll deal with that. I think that's ripe and ready to be taken on.
Well, I have to say.
My name's Doug Marvin. I'm running for a seat at the table of the Board of Selectmen. I have been a consultant to the software industry serving investment managers. I have a lot of experience in town government. I've been on the Finance Committee for 9 years. I'm presently the chairman of the Capital Planning Committee. I pretty much know how the town is put together. I've got some new ideas that I think ought to be at the selectmen's table, some things a little bit different.
What do you do for a living?
I'm now really retired, but I am a consultant to investment managers.
And your military background?
I was in the Coast Guard,
Where?
stationed in Portland, Maine,
For how long?
just a year.
In the last presidential election, who did you vote for?
I voted for Obama.
How come?
Oh, because I thought he had the best outlook for the future.
And as for the school override?
School override, the general override? I'm in favor of the general override.
How come?
Well, without it, we are going to have to cut. We're going to reduce services that we need, that we've come to enjoy, and I don't want to do that.
Final question. Would you go for having Mary Ellen Lannon as town manager?
I think that Mary Ellen has done a wonderful job. We still have to go through process. We need a search committee of citizens to open up that search, and everybody is welcome to apply.
Why?
Why what?
Why must we have a search?
Well, I think we need to investigate who else is out there. I think Mary Ellen's done a great job, but I'm not going to just take her because she's available. I think we should look.
My name is Doug Wilkinson. I'm a police officer in town, and I'm running for the office of Selectman. I've lived in town for over 30 years. I've interacted with the town on an official basis between the unions and myself for the last 7 or 8. I've found it to be contentious. I'm an average man whose pocket keeps getting picked by the town for respective issues. I want to see if I can bring a fresh perspective to them to show them what the average man is paying and therefore is suffering to meet the needs that they think their vision requires to keep it going.
What do you mean they're picking your pocket?
The constant overrides, as is the one in January, which I was against, as the one that's coming up next week, I'm against. The constant overrides that have gone on every time they get in trouble, rather than attempting to redirect their issues, they intend instead reach back into our pockets to pay the bills rather than finding out another way that maybe they could tighten their belt.
Doug, can you tell me, in 2008, the presidential election, did you vote for McCain or for Obama?
I have to say I did vote for President Obama. I think I was like the rest of the country. I was looking for a change. The Republicans had left us in a very, very sad state. I was willing to give the man his chance to succeed. I don't know whether he has or not. That will be determined as time goes on. It appears that it is.
And about your son in the Marine Corps, when did he go in?
He joined up in February of 2004. He's been to Iraq twice. In certain deployments, he's deployed with the Marine Corps at least 3 or 4 times, and he's on deployment now. He left several weeks ago, heading for somewhere in the Afghan-Libya area. We just, as I said before, we just don't know where, and he can't tell us.
You mentioned something before about what he had to do to get into the Corps. What's his name?
My son's name is Michael. He's 28 years old. He was a big man, same as I am. We tend to run large in my family. He determinedly lost a large amount of weight, so between 70 and 80 pounds, to meet the requirements to join the Marine Corps. And then they sent him off to boot camp. And the son I got home was nowhere near as large as the son I left. But I was very proud of him, and I still am. And he's still serving today. He's a sergeant, and he works. He's on the USS Boxer, and as I said, they're somewhere in the South Pacific at this point.
That's great. And your daughter is?
My daughter is a manager for a retail store living in Phoenix, Arizona.
What's her name?
Her name is Lisa. She's 24 years old, graduated Westfield State College in 2008. Mom's not thrilled about the fact that she's that far away, but she calls every day. They continue contact, and she's succeeding, and I'm also very proud of her.